The content on this channel has been created for adults. If you're not at least 13 years of age or older, then please do not watch this content. Sorry, dude. Come back when you're 13.
Yeah, baby girl. You know what I want to do. Come on. Yeah, baby girl.
What's up, Off Tap family? Welcome back to another video. This video here is actually basically like a premiere, you could say, of what's to come on my Doin news channel, but it's gonna be a little bit different because basically I am going to be informative. I'm going to give you some news and things that may be going on around the planet and different positive things that I can share with you as well, you know, and just kind of putting a different take on the news and whatnot. But the other thing though is I also want to just be able to talk to you. I want to be able to have a conversation with you. I want to get your mind thinking. I want to stimulate your mind and get you really truly thinking, because ultimately right now this is probably the most important time in your whole life where you really need to execute common sense. Your own common sense, mind you. Okay? And every day it's becoming more and more apparent to me that your common sense right now is going to be the one thing that's going to probably protect you more than anything else that is being told to you right now in regards to this crazy thing that's going on. Because depending on what country you're in right now, there is big news going on. Right now they're talking about we gotta get things back to the way they were. You're hearing it on the news. Everywhere you look, in every country, they're like, we gotta get it back to how it used to be. We're gonna start unlifting these restrictions. We're gonna start making it so that the malls are open, the gyms. They're gonna start all these things where groups can start gathering again. Because there's a false sense of security going on around the planet right now because, oh wow, the numbers seem to be dropping or consistent. I think the flattening of the curve is working, they're saying. Is it though? Is it really working? I mean, this is again where I say, let your common sense be your guide. Because the last I checked, and pardon me if I must have missed the announcement where they said there is a cure now and there is a vaccine and you don't have to worry because the disease is actually dead now. I'm sorry, I must have missed that memo because as far as I know, it's still there everywhere. In fact, there's lots of people dying in certain parts of the world right now because of this crazy thing that's happened. Now, when I say crazy thing that's happened, this is probably the one time in history where I don't have to explain that. That should tell you something, where you live in a world where you don't go, what crazy thing are you talking about? What are you talking about, Faith? Which crazy thing would that be? I don't have to say it because worldwide, I should say, right now on the planet, there's one crazy thing that's got us all freaking losing our mind a bit. Now, again, common sense, use your common sense. Okay, because obviously, yes, in one sense, the governments around the planet, they do have to get back to business. They have to, they have no choice. There's not one government on the planet that can sustain everything being closed and the economy being completely shut down for a super extended period of time. It's just not possible. No one has enough money to do that, you know, forever. Okay, especially the amount of money that most governments have had to give out to their citizens in order to keep them from completely, you know, starving and dying, you know, because they don't have money to buy food and do whatever. Suddenly, a lot of people unemployed without jobs and things, you know. Don't have a way to make money because, that's right, forgot, you put us all in lockdown and said we had to shut everything down. Well, now you realize you was hoping maybe it would be fixed and everything be better by now, but it's not technically. But you have no choice. You have to open the doors. You have to. It's just basic economics. So in the process of this happening, guys, the news, you know, depending what news you're listening to, but let's face the reality. I'm saying, forget about, matter of fact, just forget about what they're saying on any news. Use your common sense and think about the most important things that they aren't saying. Because the things they're saying are the things they're saying because they have to say what they say. But the things they aren't saying are the things that probably common sense, you could put two and two together and figure out, okay, wait a minute. Yeah, I might myself make a decision to maybe be a little extra cautious about all this. Maybe I don't need to go and get a haircut at the beauty salon right now. Maybe I don't need to go and spend 2 hours getting my extensions done or my hair colored. Maybe I don't have to do that. Maybe I don't need eyelashes right now. Maybe I don't need to go and just wander around the mall for 2 hours. Maybe I don't need to go and sit down in a restaurant and, you know, use your own common sense. Because at the end of the day, you've all you got to protect yourself. Okay? And I have watched this news about this thing going on from many countries' perspectives. Okay? And it's amazing how some countries are saying one thing and another country saying another. For example, back home in the States, there's a lot of places right now saying you need to wear a mask when you go out, period. Okay? Cloth mask, anything is better than nothing. It will help. Put the mask on, it helps protect. If you have the virus and you're coughing or something, you've got the protective thing. Even if it's just a homemade one, it's going to help cut some of that, you know, from being transmitted. You know, and if you happen to be standing in the proper social distancing space that they suggest, which again, there's some places that was saying 1.5 meters, some places saying 2 meters, some places saying, you know, 6 feet, you hear 3 feet. You know what I'm saying? It depends where you are. But generally speaking, if you are at a safe distance, common sense should tell you, well, if this person has a mask of any sort on, and you've got a mask of some sort on, guess what? There's less chance of, you know, it being transferred if there's something covering both of your faces. Like, that's kind of like pretty obvious, right? Wouldn't you think? Something's better than nothing, right? Something's better than nothing. It's pretty obvious. You got something, it's going to help a little bit, even a little bit is something. Nothing is nothing. So that's what I'm saying, use your own common sense. I see it every day. I see people just kind of just, you know, you're taking your life and put it in other people's hands. You gotta keep your life in your hand and be smart. Now more than ever. Because the things that they're not saying That's what you really need to worry about. And I'm thinking this video is so important right now because the reality is, depending where you are, they're already reopening the economies and cities up to business as usual. The reason social flattening, or it's a flattening of the curve, I should say, appears to be working because, well, it's kind of common sense. If everyone is locked inside and not going outside and doing stuff, well, of course it's going to go down because people aren't out there actively spreading potentially the disease, right? So what happens when people start going back and doing those things again for something that, again, has not been cured and there's no vaccine, and it obviously is still out there? Because apparently, from what I've heard everyone say, it's not possible to just kill it off by, again, and my brain tells me, which I guess my brain doesn't function the way that the scientist's brain or everyone else's brain works, but to me, in my brain, it seems like a no-brainer. If they say to you, and this is where, again, use your own common sense, because it's like there's a lot of double wording, double standard stories. Like in one sense they're saying this, but in another sense they're saying this. Like, here's a good example. If you suddenly hear them say that, oh, guess what? Guess what? I got great news. We're opening the economy. Have fun. Okay, yay. Go back to the beach, get excited. And let's be real. Some people, maybe that is a yay, because maybe you've already had it. Maybe you've got, again, another topic though, fake sense of security there, because they don't know for certain 100% if you have immunity or not. Again, use common sense, man. It's not, at no point have they said you have definitely 100% immunity from this thing. In fact, there's some places saying that you can catch it again because they actually have had people go out and catch it again. But depending who you talk to, of course, because then some people say, nah, they just didn't test it right. What's the truth? What do you want to believe? That's what I say, you gotta use your own common sense in this situation, man. You gotta use your own common sense in this situation. Because some things just don't quite add up. Now the real I'll tell you the truth why they don't want to say you need to wear a mask every day. It will help. Even if it helps a little, it will help, because they're worried of not having enough masks for the people in the front line who would need masks and things like that. Now, that's good. You know, people need the N95, apparently that's the really good one, which again isn't 100% apparently, because yeah, they've said so. Plus, think about, I mean, there's just so many things. Oh my gosh, if you really think about this, there is so many things that would make you think, wait a minute, this is really, just doesn't make sense. So you're telling me, because now, depending who you talk to as well, this started in allegedly started in, all this that I'm saying, by the way, is allegedly, so, and I'm not a doctor, so I'm just someone who's just decided to look at the whole situation, and I've been following it intensely, like a lot of you probably have, and have started thinking, time for some common sense, but also time to also still not let this consume you where you're not living your life anymore. You know what I mean? That's a problem too. Don't let the fear control you, but if you use common sense, then you won't have to live in fear. You know what I'm saying? Because here's the thing, so depending who you talk to, some people believe it came from the markets themselves, you know, where a bat or something somehow got it into the human, you know, thing somehow, maybe possibly someone eating bat or something, or another animal and a bat freaking whatever, next thing you know it's human, you know, depends who you talk to, different variations of that whole story. But then there's people saying, no, it came from a lab. Yeah, they must have escaped from a lab. So they've developed this in lab, is that what you're saying here? So you're telling me that in this lab where they were probably, let's say hypothetically if this is the case and they were working on this whole thing here, what, they didn't have a mask on? You tell me they weren't wearing protective gear? How did escape them get through their mask and all these things? See, again, you can't, it's like mixed signals here. You know how many doctors and nurses and all kinds of people who've had masks on have still gotten infected? There's people who have gotten infected from this and they had masks. And they had everything on. They had even the fancy ones with the plastic coverings and stuff. What's going on there? I've literally heard some stories of people going, they don't know where they caught it. But I've been doing everything. I've been isolated. I've been doing this. I haven't been like, and they don't know how they caught it. Come on, use common sense, guys. Use common sense. At the end of the day, there's so many unknown answers, I should say, to a million questions. This is a new thing. They don't really know. They don't know definite of anything. All they know is that in some people, you may get mild to no symptoms whatsoever. You may get a little bit of a mild type of flu type thing, and then some people it becomes more severe where you have to be on a respirator, you know, ventilator, all that kind of stuff, whatever. And then some people, it gets so bad that they literally don't make it. But realistically, there's so much they don't know. So are you going to trust the people who don't have the answers to protect you and keep you safe? Or are you going to use some common sense and take some of your own initiative and keep yourself safe and keep your family safe and your friends safe? Start making smart decisions now. Start thinking about things that you can do to help protect yourself and your family. Don't do things you don't need to do. You know, that's an easy one there. If you don't have to do it, don't do it. If you have some type of protective covering, even if you made it yourself, wear it. Something's better than nothing. It's the first thing you learn as a kid, right? Don't change the story on this now. But just make one. Make a homemade one. It's better than nothing. I actually just read an article that said if you took a 600 thread pillowcase, like a sheet or pillowcase, that's 600 thread count, and you fold it 3 ways, it'll actually have like 60% protection. Block out 60% or something. They said that even a plain bandana is still going to block out about 20%. That's kind of telling me that something's better than nothing. Wouldn't you agree? because it's also volume, guys. This, again, use your own common sense. People also have varying, you know, degrees of how they're impacted by this, by how much of the virus did they actually get inside of them, you know what I'm saying? For example, because you don't see the symptoms, you don't realize it for, you know, there's a whole bunch of people out there who have it and you don't realize it. And let's say you were around someone for an extended period of time, we're talking 2-3 days in a row, and you were breathing in their freaking talking spit and whatever else they're doing, sneezing, whatever, or you're touching things that they freaking dirty hands, because in the normal world before this happened, so many people don't practice good hygiene. They don't wash their hands regularly and do that. They lick their fingers and do the whole, and then they share with their friends and touching stuff and drinking out the same bottle. Like, you know, you guys remember how that used to be. It was literally 3 months ago. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, it's spread. So that's why you gotta use your own common sense. So I'm saying, anyways, I could go on and on and on, and there's probably a lot of things I wanted to say and I haven't said. But I just want to get you to think. Really, the whole point of this video is just to get you thinking, get your mind thinking, and stop relying solely on what they say. And start taking precautions and things that you can implement yourself. That's all I'm saying. Because they don't have the answers, guys. They don't know a lot about this thing. They know what they know, and that's it. It's not all the answers. There's no 100% certain. You've never heard them once say, with 100% certainty, once you catch this, you're immune, you're good to go, have a nice day. You've not heard them say that. You won't hear them say that. Possibly ever. Also, I might like to add, the other reason they have to open the government, do all these things, because guess what? There's no guarantee that there's going to be a vaccine or a cure or anything. Look at the diseases before that we have. There's things that exist that they've never found a cure for, guys. Let's be real. They've spent billions and billions of dollars for multiple years, and there's still no cure. What, suddenly humans have evolved to be experts in curing things? There's a lot of things I wish they would have cured already then, like, I don't know, maybe cancer, so my mom could still be here. Come on. Use your own common sense. That's all I'm saying. I'm gonna leave you with that thought. Anyways, this was a think piece. Make you think. Use your own common sense. I could elaborate, and this would have been more fun if I had someone else to kind of do a little debate style, you know, a little back and forth with 2 or 3, 4 people. But yeah, I guess you could see I'm using my own little common sense right now, and I don't have a bunch of people around me doing that. So anyways, guys, all the best, and yeah, more Doin news to come in the future. Stay tuned. I love you. Peace.